The United States and India go very, very far back, and so what we're continuing to see is a strengthening of that partnership and recognizing that the mutual interests of both of our countries are centered around peace, prosperity, freedom, and security. So now as we see a new administration coming in with President Trump's leadership in the United States, of course, Prime Minister Modi's long-standing leadership here in India, we have two leaders of our two great countries who are very good friends and who are very focused on how we can strengthen those shared objectives and those shared interests.
So in a sense, it's taking forward what we already have in terms of the strategic partnership, and that's one of your primary goals, right?
It is.
And how were your meetings to that end?
It is. I've been having great meetings, and of course this began with Prime Minister Modi's visit to President Trump in Washington, D.C., very shortly after he was inaugurated back into office for a second term, where they really set the tone and set the vision for where a stronger U.S. India partnership and friendship can lead to. And so my visit here is really predicated on the work that has already been done, and I've been having great conversations with my counterparts here in the Indian government. I just met with the Minister of Defense a few minutes ago, and looking forward to visiting with Prime Minister Modi here later today.
And you met the Prime Minister in Washington as well some time back. How did that go? I mean,
it was,
we saw the pictures.
It was great. I had the opportunity to meet him several years ago. It was good to see him again, and it was actually very perfectly timed, where it was maybe 1 or 2 hours after I was officially sworn into this position as Director of National Intelligence that he arrived in Washington, D.C. and had the opportunity to welcome him back to the United States.
Yeah.
I am humbled. Thank you very much. This is very good. This is a gift from me in my new position as Director. And this is from Tulsi G. Tulsi Mama.
You've had your meetings with Mr. Doval and the other intern czars. Can you tell us a little bit about the scope of intelligence sharing between India and the U.S.?
Of course. Well, first of all, it's wonderful to be back in India. Really, the tone and the relationship with our new administration under President Trump and Prime Minister Modi was set during Prime Minister Modi's visit to the White House. As you know, they are already good friends. It was a very great opportunity for them to share their joint vision for the U.S. India partnership and the opportunity for us to continue to strengthen that partnership. So the meetings that I've had here with different Indian government officials and intelligence officials really is set on that foundation of how we can continue to integrate, how we can continue to strengthen our relationship, not only, of course, in my area of intelligence, but we're looking at commerce and trade and defense and education. There's nothing but opportunity that I see here in the U.S. India partnership.
Well, you spoke about commerce and trade. Of course, there's a lot of anxiety among Indians about the tariff regime. Could you tell us which way that's headed? And in the pecking order of the U.S. India relationship priorities, where does the tariff regime come in?
You know, what I have heard from the Indian government officials that I've spoken to over the last few days, there is an opportunity here to see more potential for the strengthening of our economic relationship. And I'm glad to see that they're looking at it in a more positive light than just one that is focused in a negative way when we look at tariffs. Obviously, Prime Minister Modi is looking out for what is in the best interests of India's economy and the opportunities available for the people of India. Similarly, President Trump is doing the same for the United States, our economic interests and the interests of the American people. So what I see as a great positive is that we have two leaders who have common sense and who are looking for good solutions. This direct dialogue happening at the very top in both of our countries, but also at the different secretaries and the cabinet members, is going to be key to lay down what that path forward really looks like. And I personally am excited because there's keen interest in the private sector here in India and in the United States to seek out those opportunities and to maximize them.
Ma'am, there's a lot of attention, of course, in the Asia-Pacific region for your visit here and the earlier port of call. I wanted to ask you, what is your assessment of the Chinese threat in the Asia-Pacific region, and do you see India as a key player to counter China?
You know, I've grown up in Hawaii and I've spent a lot of time in different countries across the Indo-Pacific region, and so understand at a deeply personal level the importance of this area for my country. And also, I think just as importantly, in understanding the complexities that exist within the histories of each of these countries, India and China, Vietnam, Thailand, the Philippines, the United States, of course. So what I appreciate about President Trump and his approach, and some comments that I heard Prime Minister Modi make recently, is they are very practical and they are pragmatic and are looking to strike that balance that will allow us to hopefully prevent any kind of conflict. Obviously, as it relates to China, there are challenges. There are also opportunities. And we have two leaders of two very important countries who will play a very central role in taking on those challenges, resolving issues where they exist, and also maximizing any opportunities. The goal, of course, that we all share is to achieve peace, to increase prosperity, and to ensure stability and security for both of our peoples, but in the region as well.
Ma'am, finally, I have to ask you, as a combat veteran, now in the C-suite of the Intel community, you've broken several glass ceilings. How important was spirituality and being a Hindu? How has that helped you in being this, breaking all the glass ceilings?
Well, my own personal spiritual practice, my personal relationship with God is the center of my life, and I do my very best every day to live a life that is pleasing to God, and what better way to do that and to do my best to be of service to all of God's children. And so in different times of my life, whether serving in war zones in different parts of the world, or the challenges that we face now, it is Krishna's teachings to Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita that I turn to in the best of times and the worst of times, and continuously learn critical lessons from Krishna to Arjuna that give me strength, that give me peace, that give me great comfort through all of the days.
You know, we don't have a Intel chief who's a woman. You have broken that, and you've given a lot of hope for young women, even in our country.